Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spin Rack. We also have
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
on Thursday at Comic Con they revealed the trailer of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And they released a trailer. They had George R. R. Martin there. They had the actors and
George R. R. Martin was there. He stopped counting his money long enough to come out and make an appearance. All right, okay.
he he knighted some people. He knighted some women that didn't. And he didn't remember that when women were knighted their dames, but the women didn't want to be knighted as dames. They want to be knighted as sir. So what can you do? The Dame Dench, sorry, Dame what's the Dinah, what's it Dinah Riggs?
Hold on.
Uh oh, I knew I was gonna get him.
What? The women didn't want to be knighted as dames. They wanted to be knighted as sirs.
Yeah, yeah, they did. I knew I'd get him. I knew I'd get him.
They do understand. See, there's a reason why this isn't. It's not even a gender thing or a sex thing. It's the reason why it's not possible.
Why is it not
But
possible?
uh, okay, Be- because you have to go with the actual title and what the title meant. Okay, and what the title meant. Put it like this: if mm, no, but we gotta focus on this, right? And this is gonna take it someplace else. No, because mm, it's like you can't say husband and husband.
I want to be known as the husband.
And I'll be the other husband, and then you can't and then you can't make it a travesty and say I'll be the hus and I'll be the band. It doesn't, like, no. These names actually have meaning, okay, and the title imparted certain powers, certain respective duties. So it wouldn't have whatever.
I would say the
They really act like
hardships, the hardships that Diana Riggs and Judy Dench struggle when they went to be knighted and they could only be a dame. They they struggle in life. It's just like I, think about the people that you're in category with. You're not with people that are slouches. So come on, um, a great honor, and it was a shame to hear that. It's a shame to hear that he didn't remember what it was, and a shame that the woman was like, well, she was tall as that blonde actress that like always plays the tough women roles. She was that tall. She wasn't as tough looking as that one, thankfully. But all right, so I did want to
yeah,
see
they
what
don't get. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm still on this thing. I'm like, what? Like,
I knew I was going to get him. I
No, because
knew.
these chicks acting like they were going to go get up in like what, like 100 pounds of armor, jump on a war horse with like what is it, with a lance, and go. I'm like, no, no. I mean, and then like because the whole thing would have been like these guys were going to go off and like if it was the defense of the castle, these guys were going to have to go out and go meet battle, go do justice. But who was watching the castle? You literally have nobody there. Like, oh, this is so stupid. This is stupid. It's just like extreme penis envy. If I have ever seen it,
I
it's
knew.
like there is no literally like there is no good thing about being a woman at all. The only way that you can have a life that has any type of worthy thing, you can't even have a title that is meant specifically and only for the woman that imbued her with certain abilities and rights. No, even that's no good. Forget her. I want to be this. Well, you really, really, come on. It was like just so stupid.
I
And
want.
and then it's like nobody wants it. The guys don't want to be women. The women don't want to be women. Nobody wants to be women. And yet at the same time, what is it? Oh no, but we're going to have respect and everything. You don't respect yourself. You don't want the title that's meant for you. Nobody else. It's meant for you. Nah, that's no good. We want your title. But what about this? Nah, that's trash. We don't want it. And you better respect me as a woman. Stupid.
Well, Yeah, no, I mean, even though the reaction, I wanted to get the reaction because I was not. It was just like it was very
You
weird.
almost snuck it by me too. You almost snuck it by me. It was like, wait a second. I was like, wait a second. What did he just say? Was that a
But
mistake?
I think I was listening. I immediately thought of Dame Jane Judy Dench, and I thought of Diana Rigg, and they're definitely people. Oh, I mean, obviously from my childhood with Diana Riggs, and definitely from the James Bond films with Judy Dench. And the thing is that with her struggles, that she's kept on going, and she's not only still a great actress, she's a great person on the talk show circuit. So it's always great to see her, and they are no slouches. They're people to be respected, and if they accepted the title, that we should follow their lead. That's what I'm saying. But I did want to, I was laughing, but I was laughing that I knew it was a reaction and what I was feeling, the confusion and why. I knew Cal would bring it all home. So let's watch
You,
the.
you look at the history. I'm sorry. I'll say this and then I'll be done. I
That's
promise.
okay.
You look at
I'm
the
all
no.
for
You
it.
just because you just look at the history on the whole thing. It's like okay, so all of these women who came before you were a bunch of idiots, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's
You know, all these women who came before. I'm not talking about modern day Sir and Dame. Okay, I'm not talking about modern day. I'm talking about the history.
that's
Okay,
even
all of
a
that
better
is
thing to bring up. Yes, yes.
all that historic history where this it was an honor.
Hmm.
It was an honor bestowed upon you by the reigning monarch. Okay, and now it's like no, 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 no. We don't want that. The only way this can work, everybody's got to be a sir. I was going at the other day where I was telling someone the need for actor and actress because they just want to say
Oh,
everybody's an
yeah,
actor now.
yeah. That one. That's
I said okay, but I said if I'm looking for if I'm let's say I'm looking for blonde if I want blonde female actors, isn't it easy for me just to say, hey, blonde actresses? I want women, and actresses denotes women. Well, like no, I said you can't comport everything. You can't comport everything into this modern context, which, to be quite honest, doesn't make a lot of sense. One, and then number two, on the converse, could you imagine if it was the converse? And all of these dudes historically were like, "Nah, we don't want this. We want to be ladies." Well, you don't even have history anymore. You don't have the history of it anymore. If the guys are over there like, "Hey, we want to be dames," everybody's gonna look at them sideways like they're crazy. It's like what? But all you keep doing is saying that anything that is womanly, anything that is feminine, anything that is ladylike, anything that is designated strictly for women, that's rubbish, that's trash. We want the guy stuff. Until we got dudes in dresses with full length beards talking about, hey, we want to be in the woman's bathroom. All of a sudden now you need lady spaces and things that are designated just for women, right? Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
right. Ready, set, and I'm just hitting play. That's what I'm doing on
Yeah,
there.
you did a good job on that one, man.
Oh, so what do you say, sir?
If I hadn't seen Game of Thrones, I would be interested in this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if I hadn't seen Game of Thrones, this would be right up my alley. It looks like like a Knight's Tale type stuff. So I'm like, all right, cool. And it doesn't look as vicious as Game of it
Hmm.
doesn't look as vicious as Game of Thrones was. I still remember that first season. I was just like, whoa, these people are vicious. You know, I was like, who's gonna die this episode? But since I did see Game of Thrones and I had they totally wrecked me. I gave up 5, 6, 7 years of my life watching that particular series, and they ruined it within 3 episodes. They will never get trust from me again. Not watching it. Not gonna be a sucker. Won't get fooled again.
Oh God. So uh, it's I didn't with the Game of
It
Thrones.
does look interesting. It
Mhm.
it does it does look interesting. Okay, I'll fully admit this was something. If I had not seen Game of Thrones, this is something that I would watch. It looks very clean. It doesn't look like they're trying to do too much, trying to put any modern additives into it. This looks like a standard medieval Knight's Tale, and that's right up my alley. But I don't trust these guys. I don't trust them, so they're not going to get me.
Okay.
Watch 7 episodes and find out this is really a woman. No, thank you.
To give you some of the things at the con, um, well, unrelated to this, George R. R. Martin said he went to one of the first Comic Cons since he was at Comic Con, and he also said at the Comic Con he met Steve Ditko. He did joke that Steve Ditko didn't come to cons after that, but I'd like to point out that he didn't get into saying the usual nonsense that people say about Steve Ditko. So, what new people normally say they run into him, and he was just regular. So that was a good fun thing that he said, and at the same time, the actors are pretty fun in there too. So it looks like they are bringing their A game to the project. And what else? Also talk about the jousts that I thought they were saying it's going to be at night. It looks like it's getting dark in some of these scenes, but there's going to be a lot of fog. But they're going to try to they're going to try to do some interesting things with the joust. So um,
Mm,
if you're
yeah, I know what that
watching,
means.
at George R. R. Martin asked them to do something, see if they could do something really cool with it, bring something to it. So let's see if it pays off. You know. Um, uh, but you are the actor. Do you remember this actor? He said he was in Vikings. He said he played a bad guy.
If he was in Vikings, I'm pretty certain he had a very different look
Okay, yeah, all
because
right.
most of the guys had long hair, beards, you know. So it's very possible. I saw, yeah, I saw every episode of Vikings, but I can't say that I recognize him as he's being shown right there.
Okay, all right. So that's about. I think that's about it. But I liked the trailer. It was a fun panel, and it's always interesting because I saw someone out dressed up like George R. R. Martin, so it's interesting to see him. And I always have to you know, try to keep one of my friends from attacking him because it's almost like Kathy Bates in Misery, where he wants the rest of the books. He wants the books finished before he passes, and he doesn't. Since he's around, he doesn't want you know posthumous versions of it by other people interpreting it. So even if it's not something that works, so
Oh,
there.
that's George R. R. Martin's position.
I don't know. He does. He's saying he's gonna. I don't think he's saying he's gonna finish it. My friend is like he wants him to finish it, and he don't, he's seeing him there. Doesn't want him sitting around going to cons and partying and making fun of. He was in zombie. Was it zombie?
Stacking paper.
He was eating. He was a zombie eating the books. It was actually him. And then I was like, but it feels like a Stephen King misery thing with the fans that want the rest of the books. But
Nah, I don't know. I really just feel kind of I wish he had finished the story. I really
mhm,
wish he had finished the story because now I'm pretty much stuck with what they left.
mhm.
And everybody knows that somebody should come and like, no, you need to fix this. Okay, you need to fix this. Just totally say, hey, whatever happened, no, that didn't happen. This is going to be the real ending. And everybody would accept it at the end of the day, with the exception of that minority who was like, oh, I actually liked it. Well, nobody likes you. And just come back and, but he should never have let them end his story because it was so obvious what they wanted. They didn't want to do the traditional thing with all the threads that he had been weaving. You saw how this was going to be finished, and the writers were too arrogant and too egotistical. They were like they wanted to do something different. They didn't want to give the whole, they didn't want to give a happy ending. One, they didn't want to give the hero, the light he was supposed to get. They wanted to keep people guessing, blah blah this, and so that's what we got. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if he cares because this guy was at one point he was like, I can't write anymore. I'm too paid. I'm having trouble stacking this money on my own. I need to be here on a daily basis to make certain it doesn't tilt over. You guys can just take over and finish it. And it's so glaring because you had literally like six. almost seven full seasons of a well crafted story. And then you can just see how it all falls apart. You can see how it all falls apart literally in the last three episodes. I mean, they had such a great battle that battle against the whites was, I enjoyed it, and I thought everybody had the role to play. But that was to me was the first sign where uh, John Stark, wasn't the guy who put an end to the dude. Even though he had the blade, he didn't put an end to the dude. And I was like, well, then what was the point of him being there? He didn't really do anything. The dragons were ineffective. The dragons couldn't burn him. And they decided they were going to give it, wasn't a little needle going to come over here and Arya Stark was going to do it. And I'm like, okay, but by giving her thing was she was supposed to be taking revenge. She had been chanting out those three names for such a long period of time. She was supposed to go and get her revenge. That never happened. Instead, she becomes a hero there. And I'm like, but he doesn't have anything to do anymore. And that was the big buildup at the end of the day, especially when we had that fight scene where he's fighting against him and he has the sword. I forget the Valerian steel sword. And I'm like, okay, so he's going to be the guy who's going to have to take this dude out because he actually has the proper weapon. And instead, they give it to her simply because, and I've seen this with writers before. Let's do something different. But no, this guy's supposed to know why can't we do it? Because when you do it, you got what you have with Game of Thrones. It sucks. And then they put what is it? That boy, I forget his name, the one with the raven, third eye blind. They put him
Mhm.
on the throne. I was like, this is ridiculous. They're gonna be a coup.
Well, that's the thing. I think when me and Mars did the final finale, and it was funny because I'm thinking of the past, and I understand the writers are trying to make, oh, this is the birth of democracy. It's like we don't need to see that. We need to see, and the problem was the Terrigen, the little person running around, still kind of pushing them to do different things. I didn't like that, but the idea is that when you put the guy who's a cripple into the throne, it's like you just go. I can't tout a lot of history, but I do know some of things in Russian history, and the thing of legitimacy and or an heir, per the heir of big things to the people. So as soon as you put in someone that don't look strong
Yeah.
and no
Well,
air, they're
he's
like,
able.
get rid of them.
Well,
People
the
are
whole
like,
because the whole idea of an heir was to keep people from feeling that the throne's illegitimate.
yeah,
And it was also supposed to, okay, nobody's going to come over here and the generals aren't going to try to take the power. And this person, anybody who could make a power play wouldn't try to take the power because at the very least, the royal family would be the ones trying to kill each other. So there would be some, but at the very least, there'd be some stability. And they threw that out. The actual person who should be on the throne abdicates the throne after killing off one of his relatives because he didn't think she should be on the throne. I was like, then did you think you should be on the throne? No, I don't deserve the throne either. So we're gonna put this dude on. All right, yeah, this is gonna be a coup.
yeah, it's you can't. And listening
Yeah,
for the
and
people.
then they presuppose they have this they literally have this egocentrism where they believe because they think a democracy is how everybody should live, that they're going to put that into here. I was like, well, no, there's nothing wrong with the monarchy. A lot of people live in the monarchies and they're fine.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Monarchies in and of themselves are not evil. You need a just king that really helps. A just queen. But monarchies in and of themselves are not evil. Same thing, like when Kevin Smith decided he was going to do He-Man, and he dissolves the monarchy in Eternia. Like from now on, it's going to be a democracy. It was like, why? There was nothing wrong with what they had.
yeah.
Okay, but you're like, oh no, this is the way it's supposed to go. We don't need kings. We need a democracy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right.
And the thing of a time of kings, why would you want to try to play in? I mean, the closest they get to do that is with a King Arthur, and try to say someone who's governing for the people. And it's like, well, that's one story. All the rest of them up until close, close with the I know just I don't know that much past a lot of Russian stuff, but it's like it's just fun and interesting seeing their struggle with a legitimate person to rule over the area. So it's just like this is what you're dealing with, and it's for the people. That's their as bad as the ruler might be or crazy as far as the Russian leaders. in the past, in the far past. Not saying these ones aren't crazy now, but the idea is that the people still were pushing back in this case, and that would be the same for
The people weren't doing anything. So that's the thing that most of the time the people wanted a king. They wanted some sort of structure.
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a pushback to say, hey, there's legitimacy, and they're like, and like, no, we'll do some more terrible stuff to you. But it's just having that person was the last person in my mind to do that, and not try to just we're gonna buck the system, and everybody's gonna buck the system, and whereas for me, I was like, yeah, everyone's going against me, burn that whole thing down, show of power. And it's like, no, she crazy. Because like, yeah, but that's what rule you get to decide those things.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's a. I mean, that was the. I mean, that is rather the structure of like the same sort of government that we have today. We have a democracy, but even within a monarchy, it was the whole idea is like, hey, we are going to provide stability, protection, identity, unity in terms of through the kingship, and in return for this, there's not going to be any anarchy. Everybody's going to follow these rules,
Mhm.
and this is how this whole thing is going to go. That's pretty much how society works. You're going to surrender a lot of the autonomy that you would have just to do whatever. You're going to follow these rules, and in return, you're going to be able to sleep at night without worrying about somebody coming and slitting your throat. If there's something that happens, there's going to be an actual defense. There'll be people who are going to be there put out for the defense, so the homeland will be protected. These things are going to be looked upon. There will be a governing structure. You're not going to just be out here being nomadic or willing, or pell mell at the end of the day. And they seem to forget this. And then it just becomes, well, the king. Well, that's another modern take. The kings are always mad and evil.
Mhm.
That sort of stuff. And it's because of that. It's because of that perspective that we can't get a good King Arthur movie because they don't know what to do. It's like, no, King Arthur's a good king. A good king?
Well, the
No king is good.
yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. When you have, was it? I guess Guy Ritchie did the last one, and you think,
Actually, ugh, I liked what they did in terms of they didn't shy away from the magic,
hmm
which is what they want to do now, where they're like, oh, let's try to make it more realistic. Let's try. It's like it's supposed to have magic in it, man. That's a story. It's like, no, let's do like what is it now? Let's do something with dragons, but they don't breathe fire. They're just kind of big, like like a Komodo dragon, and we'll have the knights fighting those. I'm like, no, that's not what a dragon is. There's a reason why it's called a Komodo dragon. It's not a dragon. Yeah. It's
yeah,
supposed to, those are the elements of the story. If you can't deal with those elements, go tell a different story. King Arthur has magic.
yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
man, I find magic is kind of silly. Don't tell this story. It's a story that involves magic. So I like the fact that they didn't shy away from the magic, but then it wasn't a King Arthur story. It was more like a Robin Hood story.
Okay.
He's a rogue. They even had the thing with him in like and the story starts off. They put him in like a basket, and he goes like floating down the Thames River. I was like, he's Moses now.
Yeah. Well, um, so we have it's within Cal's sensibilities, but at the same time, he's been burned by the Game of Thrones people. Um,
Burned really, really bad. Sorry, never coming back from that one.
and for me, it looks okay. So, um, see what it is. We'll come back to you and we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty sure Mars has even more to say, so we might be coming back to this again. Spin rack,
We're out.
we're out.